As headlines are filled with stories about COVID-19 here at home, many other regions around the world are struggling even more. Today we have Gary Stagg from Open Doors Canada to help us understand what the media is not covering, especially regarding our Christian brothers and sisters. Gary, Yemen is in civil war and now COVID-19. Can you give us an update on exactly what is happening in Yemen today?
Well, of course, as you mentioned, the war is really devastated. It's a humanitarian crisis. I think it's probably the worst humanitarian crisis that we've seen in 100 years. And with anything like that, it intensifies, of course, the situation for Christians that are living there. Things were pretty bad to begin with in the country for all citizens, not just Christians, but for all of them. Now we have COVID-19 thrown in on top of that, and it's just exasperated things for people so much.
Yeah.
One of the problems that we're seeing in Yemen, and not only in Yemen, but in other countries as well, I think of countries like India and Syria and other countries where people are desperate for aid. And what's happening is that much of the aid that's going is being administered by local authorities and religious groups and so on. Christians are already discriminated against, and now this is another form of persecution, I would say, is the withholding of aid to minority groups like Christians in the country.
Right. As you just mentioned, Syria, a country suffering from the effects of the war and ISIS, and now, of course, facing COVID. How is the situation there, especially, I think, around COVID and how they're coping with that amidst everything else that they've survived throughout the past number of years?
Yeah, for 9 years they've been wrecked with war. But imagine in a third world country, a country that's been ravaged by war for 9 years.
Right.
It is having a devastating effect on the people there. But one of the bright hopes that we see in these countries is that the church is really becoming more missional in the middle of this. So they're looking at the needs all around them, and they see it as an opportunity to actually shine the light of Christ into their communities. And so in Syria, for instance, churches are being transformed into what we're calling centers of hope. They're actually transforming themselves into not just a meeting space for people to come and worship, but rather into centers that are really focused on meeting the felt needs of their communities. And we step in and help them to have the resources to be able to help people that are in need. And it doesn't matter what religion they are, it doesn't matter who's coming to them. They invite anybody that wants to come for help into their centers of hope. They offer trauma counseling, they offer food and medicine, and whatever is needed, they're responding. So, we can look at this as a and it is a very grim situation, but it's so encouraging for us to see what Christians are doing in some of these most difficult places to live as a Christian.
Yeah.
The most dangerous places to live as a Christian. So it's encouraging at the same time.
Just a reminder of the many things that we have to pray for. Thank you again, Gary Stagg, Executive Director of Open Doors Canada. Thank you so much for your time today.